I'm Maddie.
I'm Amber. And we're Witches Talking Tarot.
We are the weirdos in this story.
Like a song, like a sailor snubble. Flip the switch and let the cauldron bubble. Sam.
Wow. Hey everybody, I'm Amber.
And I'm Maddie.
And we're Witches Talking Tarot. And today we are talking about elephants, like motherfucking skinamarinky dinky dink, skinamarinky doo. I love you. Not really. We're not talking about the elephant show. We're talking about the elephants. Elephants. Yeah, see, that was for the kids of my generation.
No, I was looking at you and then I looked at myself and I was like, dude, Maddie, you're making a weird face.
I just couldn't resist. It popped in my head right before we started messing with the lighting, and I was like, the elephant song. I wasn't even thinking about the elephant song. But I love the elephant
You said the
song.
elephant song, and I can't lie. It made me think about that trippy ass, like, what is that? Is that from Dumbo? The trippy ass, weird ass.
Oh,
like,
hell
elephant?
yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh my
I
god,
hate
where they're
that.
like drunk and it's the crazy
Yes.
elephant. Oh wait, that nightmare is from Winnie the Pooh's Nightmare.
Oh, okay. So
with,
it's not.
with some things and woozles, right? Heffalumps and woozles.
Yes.
I used to have woozles. I have two woozles. I didn't used to. I still do. I have a bluish woozle and an orange and green or yellow and green woozle. I always wanted a heffalump though because elephants are my fucking favorite, which is why I have more than just this elephant piece of clothing. And I have a lot of elephants in that part of my house. I love me some elephants. They're fucking cool. And I learned even more cool shit about them for today. So where do we want to start? Well, let's start with the fact that elephants are one of the youngest animals we're going to be talking about. They've been around since the Miocene. So like we encountered elephants after we existed. A lot of the animals we've talked about, like they came about as humans came about or long before humans. Elephants came about a bit after us because we were around since like the Pleistocene or earlier. But the Miocene, I don't know how. Look, guys, I am not the greatest math head. So you're not going to get exact numbers from me because we no longer write things down in notebooks. But the thing is, it's a long period of history that we had before we encountered elephants who were able to move out of Africa and into Asia and then further parts of the world because of land movements, like we've talked about in our previous episodes with Pangea and other things. So fucking love elephants.
I do too. I had to look into the woolly mammoth for a second, which is a type of elephant.
It is. They are related. I love woolly mammoths. I almost had my woolly mammoth out here. I have a woolly mammoth stuffed animal that my husband and kids got me for Mother's Day a couple of years ago because of like, I just told Maddie the story about in 1988, I just had to have one for my birthday. And without the internet or any easy way of shopping, my mother's best friend got me that fucking woolly mammoth. And I was lamenting his loss.
I love woolly mammoths so much. They look so like
That's
warm.
why elephants are
They look so
favorite.
warm.
I love woolly mammoths. If they were still around, I mean, like, they are my favorite extinct animal, and elephants are my favorite.
I love the movie Ice Age. I watch it with my kids all the time.
My
Manny,
kids love
the elephant,
yes,
or the mammoth.
yes.
And,
Manny's a dick. Fucking hate Ray. Everybody does not love Ray.
Well, I love that movie anyway. I
love
also
that movie.
really
I
like
love the sloth.
saber-toothed tigers are fucking cool.
They are.
They are so cool.
I love Dennis Leary.
Is he who talks
yes.
for the mammoth? Oh my god! But the sloths, he kills it. He is.
He is, and his eye, like the sloth is great.
His
I love
eyes,
that movie.
dude. Yeah, that whole movie is so funny, and he's so annoying too. Like he's like, yeah, my family leaves me every year. I don't know why they do this.
I know.
The whole
whole
franchise is hilarious.
It is like I never. Yeah, they kept making them. But
yeah,
I kept watching them.
I mean, and they have the original
Even like
cast.
the new, like they made like a Halloween one or something.
Oh,
They have
yeah.
a Christmas one. I've watched those too.
Well,
I love the cast. And when they added the mom, Queen Latifah, man.
Queen Latifah, exactly.
Fucking love Khadijah.
So mammoths were a relation to the modern day elephant. I think I read that they existed 20,000 years ago.
Yeah.
I think it was
And they
20,000.
existed here in North America, whereas the
Yes, they
elephants
did.
did not.
They were in North America,
Asia,
Asia.
Europe,
I thought it was Asia and,
and
Europe.
Africa, I think.
Were they in
Africa? No,
I
probably
don't know.
not.
I think
But
it was
feel like I
Europe,
read that.
Asia, and
Why do I?
but it makes sense that they would be in Europe, Asia, and
'Cause the
North
colder,
America because
yeah.
of the cold route. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now I'm like, did I read that? Because I like specifically had looked up mammoths, but then I was like, I love these guys too much. I'm gonna get
Sucked in.
yeah. I was like way down a rabbit hole. And whereas I do want that rabbit hole, truly do. I was like, oh, they did exist in
Oh,
Africa.
okay, they did.
Okay, I did read that. Okay, because I was like, I feel like I read that, but it doesn't actually make sense. To
It's
me,
so sad
because they
died
have the
out.
hair because it's
Right.
cold, right? But maybe there was an ice age.
There was absolutely. The movie's called Ice Age, Amber. What the fuck?
Yeah. But I'm just.
But
I wonder if there's a Land Before
once-
Time movie that has mammoths.
I don't know. I
Do
wonder.
they get an ice age ever? Because like I did grow out.
There
of
was a
watching the
couple
Land Before.
lamb.
Yeah, because they started making new ones once I was older.
Mhm.
And at that point, even though my children always watch the things that I watched as a kid, like Labyrinth. Why did
it's so sad?
I love Land Before Time? I love Land Before Time.
But when he's like,
It's one of my
he
younger
sees
memories.
his shadow, and he's like, "Mother."
Oh, the leaf, we're in the water,
God.
cinema. 5-year-old Amber. That is cinema right there.
No, my son
Seriously.
loves it too. He calls it the dinosaur movie.
Yeah,
He's
that's
like,
probably.
"Oh, that's sad."
Amber is now understanding why she loves fucking dinosaurs so much
I
because the
love
Land Before
dinosaurs.
Time. I had me a Sarah doll. I loved Sarah. I loved Ducky,
Oh,
but
love
I had
Sarah.
a Sarah doll, so of course I had
She's
to be
like
like
the
Sarah. She's the
three
bitch.
horns don't play with long necks. My son
God, I
calls
hate
it the
Sarah as an adult though.
baby dinosaur movie. That's what he calls it.
I love
I
it.
fucking love
Ducky,
what is his name?
Petrie, fly.
Dude.
Okay, this isn't about
I
dinosaurs,
know, but
guys.
I'm like,
Sorry.
what is that one guy's name?
But Land
Spike.
Before
Oh my
Time.
god.
Spike.
Spike
Me
is so
and
dumb.
Ducky.
She's like, you're my brother.
She's your my brother.
Yeah. You're late. Everybody left you.
Ruby, it is sad. Oh, the feels. Oh, the childhood feels. I just watched A Little Princess earlier today, so I'm all in my childhood feels.
Absolutely. But like we were talking prehistoric with the mammoth.
Well, and yeah, they were my favorite. They are my
Well, the mammoth
childhood.
unfortunately passed away. It became extinct because of rising temperatures
My
and the lack of.
peoples are trying to remake them.
That is, that is
No, but they actually, it's for a good reason though, because the tundra needs to be repacked. There's nothing that's packing it. It's actually making the planet warmer and feeding into global warming.
I think it's
Right.
just playing God. It's
But
just,
humans do that all the time. So
we've
let's
seen
do it for
Jurassic
good.
Park. It's not a good idea to bring something that was extinct back. It was extinct for a reason.
I think the reason the mammoth went extinct was partly from our hunting it, though.
Was it?
So-
I didn't read that. I did read a lot of it had to
think-
do with like the rising temperatures,
Right.
but I would not be surprised. I would
Yeah.
not.
I mean, I don't know entirely. I
Mhm.
didn't look into that specifically, but they've since childhood, they've been my favorite. So like, I'm pretty sure that in the past I have read that hunting them was a huge part of their demise. But also if it can help pack the permafrost that needs to be packed and was originally packed by them, because like
We need to do a
elephants in
whole ass
Africa, like-
episode on clones because I feel like this
yes,
falls
we
hands
should.
in hand
Oh,
with
fuck
that because
yeah.
it's like it's just not natural. But like I feel like I could go on and on and on about clones.
I am biased 1,000,000,000%, guys. Not only am I like a third like
clone.
Russia.
No. Just kidding.
Well, no, I'm sorry. I'm like, I guess I'm straight up 10% absolutely undiluted Russian.
Mhm.
And then like another large portion of me is just Russian, but with other like, oh, well, I mean, basically the DNA breaks down to Russian, European Jew, but from Russia. So Eastern European Jew, but from Russia, or surrounding areas like Ukraine, where my great grandmother's from. Yeah, grandmother Ellen's mother. Yeah. Sorry, had to do the math on that, right? I'm biased. Mammoths are my favorite, and my family comes from Russia, so like totally biased here. But I don't think it's a bad idea, and here's why: elephants are a keystone species, so that means like they hold a multitude of functions in their environments, like.
And that's not just the mammoth, that's elephants.
Right, that's elephants as a whole. Yeah. So like I guess apparently they don't fully digest their food. They only
really?
Yeah, like so they eat like they produce like 220 pounds of dung a day.
I
They're
did read
constantly
that.
eating.
They're constantly eating. They
But
want
they only digest like a third of that.
and they eat vegetables, so it's not like nasty shit either.
Right.
It's like I mean it is, but it's more like I would say like cowish.
If you've ever, yeah, exactly. If you've ever seen an elephant digging in another elephant's butt, which is disgusting, and I wish it wasn't pointed out to me. I have seen it, and
eating it,
and eating it. It's because sometimes they don't even wait for it to fall because other animals feast on that because they know that it's got food value.
Mm-hmm.
They also, because they don't digest most of what they eat, they spread seeds as they're eating these large amounts of food from everywhere and then walking on the like forest or savanna or wherever they exist at. Like Rufus is sorry guys, puppies. But they drop the seeds and whatever's not eaten by other animals becomes like it helps like reforest the areas that they're in and things like that.
Yeah. Do you remember the elephants in the Jungle Book? Oh
Yeah.
my god, I love them. The little baby, they're like, and he's like in World War II or some shit. Which we'll get to.
I forgot about that.
They're war elephants, aren't they?
I forgot about that
In India.
in the movie. Yeah.
Yes, they're war.
Well, I mean, I just like I forgot about that from the movie because I almost watched Jungle Book. I almost watched fucking Lord of the Rings Part 3. I almost watched a lot of elephant movies. Like, I realized how much there's a lot of elephants in pop culture.
There are, because everybody loves elephants. I mean, not just pop culture, or I guess this is a part of pop culture. There's so many elephant shirts, merchandise.
Yeah.
I don't think it's legal to keep elephants in circuses anymore in the United States.
I think they shut down circuses with animals, period. I don't think you can have animals in the circus performing it.
Okay. I know for sure with elephants are not a thing.
Yeah, I think it's all animals. I'm not positive, but I remember all animals.
I think you can have elephants in zoos, though.
You can have elephants in zoos, which is controversial, and I am anti-zoo, although the St. Louis Zoo is free, and I still go there.
The zoo. I've been to the zoo, but it's like I want to take my kids to the zoo to see the animals, and then you go, and then I feel like dog shit the entire time I'm there. You know, like that's
that because like the last time Corey and I went to the St. Louis Zoo because we were in St. Louis, and we did one of our like silly little we're gonna get out of town for like an overnight for no reason kind of thing. And so like instead of doing delivery on some Christmas ornaments last Christmas, we went out to St. Louis, stayed the night with our hotel points. So it was like a free night for us. And we went to the zoo because it's free, you know. So like we kind of had like other than the gas and food, we had a little free date, you know. And then we picked up the stuff instead of paying for shipping. Which was part of the gas we drove out there on, but not all of it because there was more gas. But that's whatever. But as I was at the zoo, I was like, I hate zoos. I forgot I hate zoos.
Oh my god, I saw this video. It was
and the
funny.
elephant areas. They're not meant to live like that.
No, it's such a small area. But like I saw this funny video that was funny, but also not. It was serious, and it was like when you take your kid to the zoo, and it was like this guy, and he's like, look, there's the elephant, and then the guy's like, kill me. I'm not meant to be here. just put me out of my misery. And then it's like, okay, let's just go to the next exhibit. Don't leave me here. And it was making light of a horrific serious situation.
Yeah, no, that hurts because that's how I feel. Like in the Memphis Zoo, in the old cat area, there was a single lion, male lion, by himself. And around the single tree in his enclosure
there
was a walking path because
he just
he did is walk in a circle all day because they're not meant to live like that. They're meant to be with their own kind. They live in large family groups.
I know. I'm sorry, we don't have to be on this topic for long, but I went to
sad. I don't think about it. And that's my bad. I should think about it.
I went to the Springfield Zoo and I think I felt sorry for all the animals, but it really hurt to see the wolf enclosure or the coyote enclosure because his enclosure was right on the edge of the forest. And I'm like, he looks out there every goddamn day and is like, I'm stuck in here.
Well, what's worse, like in that same thread or vein, when Corey and I go to the zoo now, like Corey talks about, like, they've tried to make it more natural for the animals, right? So they go like, it goes predator, prey animal, predator. So those poor prey animals.
When you say that, my eyes are like, oh
surrounded
my
by
God.
the smell of their predators.
And the poor predators
are surrounded by the smell of prey and their enemies.
That sucks.
It's so fucked up.
Last time I went to
imagine
the zoo,
being in a cage like that.
Seriously, last time I went to the zoo, I saw two kangaroos beating the fuck out of each other. I mean, they were like kicking
going
each
at
other,
it.
going. I'm like, where's the zookeeper? Oh my God! It's a funny video because of her, but it's actually sad. Like these two gorillas are beating the fuck out of each other, and this bitch is over there like, where's the zookeeper? And everybody's like, what the fuck do you expect the zookeeper to do?
No, you two, stop it! Stop it!
Like,
No, Tarzan, no.
Someone get the zookeeper. Like literally, me and Bryson were just like, what are they supposed to do?
Shoot them with tranquilizer.
Like,
how is that any better than
you
them
can't
beating the
go
shit out of each other?
right? You can't go.
Gonna hose them down.
Like,
if that cools them off a little bit.
God, like. Was she just not thinking? Like, seriously, what the fuck is the zookeeper gonna do?
We were at the zoo. Like, gorillas in zoos are actually terrifying. We were at the zoo in Florida, Disney World. And
I hear that's a good zoo.
It is.
I hear it's very big for the animals.
Yeah. And like the giraffes, at least I'm pretty sure like giraffes and zebras, all that stuff, they get to run wild in like this big area.
It's like a
my uncle actually
type.
worked there. Yeah. My uncle that I visited last month, or the beginning of this month, I guess. Yeah, because we're not in July. This airs in July, but we're in June. Time travel. It sounded funny in my head. Anyway, that guy that I just saw, he used to work there. And we went there when the kids were little. Anyway, we're walking through, and the fucking gorilla, Corey walks up, and the gorilla puffs up, looks him dead in the eye, and goes, Corey was like, I'm getting out of here.
Oh my God. I shouldn't say I love gorillas in zoos because I don't. I fucking hate them. But they're my favorite probably exhibit because they're so funny. Like, I saw a video of a monkey throwing something, and then they're like, "Oh, it got grandma," and she looks at the fucking camera, and there's shit all over her face. This lady's like 80 years old. How are you so calm? Oh, it got grandma. Oh my God!
Oh my God! This isn't about zoos.
No, it's not. We'll have to do a separate.
Yeah.
And then maybe it won't be as happy-go-lucky. Yeah. Like
my favorite is the reptile house.
Oh, fuck those! Oh my God, no!
Love the reptile house.
I like
love it, love it. Corey hates it. He only goes in for me because he hates snakes.
It makes me like when I go into a reptile house, I'm literally like every bristle of my hair is an escaped reptile or lizard or fucking spider because they usually have the spiders with them. So I'm like. You know,
yeah, no, but it's my favorite. I love seeing the gators and the turtles and the frogs and then there's other stuff too. Yeah, there's the big snakes and they're cool, and I like seeing the geckos. Like for me, it's about the gators. Like, let's be clear, That's the gators are in the reptile house.
I think if I had to choose
but so are
between
the frogs.
going to a zoo or an aquarium, I feel like I'd choose an aquarium every day.
But see, I have just as much of a problem with aquariums as I do with zoos. So like I get you, and at the same time, I mean,
I get you. I get what
you
you're
know
saying.
what? But it's not as bad because in the aquarium, like they're all living together. But like, how do you keep the sharks from eating the fish they're not supposed
I
to
think
eat?
they just do.
Yeah, I think so
Like
too.
that's
So
why
it's
I
like
think it's more
you're
of a
in a-
natural habitat.
well,
I mean,
but you can't get away from your predator in there. There's like you go boom glass. You know what I mean? Like that's where I'm like, I kind of like aquariums, and
we went to the Springfield
It's so hard for me, guys.
aquarium. Highly recommend. It was amazing.
The one in the Bass Pro.
Yeah, have you seen?
Corey helped build it.
Oh my
He
god,
put the lighting in, and
it is
he was the electrician.
amazing. If you haven't been through it, highly recommend. I'm pretty sure they have like, I saw a sea turtle.
Have we paid to go through it?
It's fucking expensive.
It is fucking expensive. That's
It
why
was
I'm
like
I think we didn't
$50
pay.
a person.
We were gonna take the boys there when they were here, and then we were like,
they were like 50.
We took them to a little zoo in Ensign instead. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, a zoo would probably be a lot cheaper, but like, I mean, it was an experience too because like, you get to walk and the fish are going over you. Like, it's like a really cool aquarium. They've got sharks, baby little hammerheads. Oh my god!
Have you ever been to the Tulsa Aquarium?
No, is it good?
It's so good. It's got a bunch of jellyfish glasses. Like
they had that at the Springfield Zoo, but my kids loved the jellyfish. They thought they were so cool. Theodore was terrified of the coconut crabs. I was like, don't touch it.
Yeah, I was
like,
gonna say they have the coconut crabs, but they also have like a giant like lobster or something.
Yeah.
That's like giant, like huge. And they've got the eels and the turtles. I really like the zoo and the zoo. The zoo in Tulsa is fucking hot, guys. The Memphis Zoo is hot. Tulsa Zoo is hotter.
I've been to the Tulsa Zoo, and it's when you say hot, you mean temperature wise. Yeah, that's why I don't go to the zoo.
It's
like,
fucking hot. That's
why
that's
the
aquarium's better.
part of the reason why I don't go to the zoo, because I feel like I'm over here gushing, like I love this part of the zoo, and I'm not trying to be.
I mean, it's just what you get excited about when you're there, even if you go seldom. Like, I went to the zoo X amount of times growing up. I've taken my kids to the zoo X amount of times. I've taken my kids to the aquarium.
I have not been to a circus though. Growing up, we were not allowed at the circus. My mom was very protester against the circus, very against the circus. Anytime we got free tickets to go to the circus, she was like, oh, fuck no. And she would like literally be like, we're not supporting that shit. So like, I have never been to a circus.
Well, my grandfather worked for Ringling Brothers, and my dad played with the baby tiger and lion cubs when he was like 15. And I went to the circus growing up 100%.
Well,
I did love it. Like, but I loved, so this was the 80s. And they had the little, it's not fiberglass. I can't think of the right word, but the little white thing, and it has colored lights that, and
I know what
so,
you're talking about. Yeah.
And it's like, that was why I loved the circus. I do love the performance. I loved the acrobatics, and I loved the clown show.
I think I would go to,
and I did love the elephants. I would never go. So knowing now what I know, I would never go to anything like a circus or anything like that, because like I barely trust a zoo's ability to keep these powerful,
let alone
animals
a motherfucking circus.
Let alone a circus. I have seen too many videos of especially elephants go like wild at a circus and take off and trample people on the way out, and then the elephant gets punished.
Speaking of elephants, did you know they hung an elephant because of that? This was like the early 1900s. They literally hung an elephant. Was it St. Louis? It may have been St. Louis or Kansas City. An elephant went rampant, either because it was in a circus or a parade, and it killed someone and injured a lot of people. So their great idea was, let's hang this elephant. Well, hanging an elephant doesn't sound like a really
I'm like, how do you hang a fucking elephant?
They used a crane.
Edison used an elephant.
Edison, Thomas Edison, on for what?
To show how electricity worked. He killed it.
Like, oh my god, I
They
just saw
electrified
that.
the elephant. Like when I was looking for elephant movies and videos to watch on YouTube, that was offered, and I was like, oh, "You can watch that? Oh, gross!"
Like I know they did that with people. That's why I got excited, because I was like, I just watched a video where Thomas, or not, maybe it wasn't Thomas Edison, it was Russia, where they were like testing electricity, and they would run electricity through this person so much that he was like a magnet. And then he fucking died afterwards. But like,
yeah, the elephant was just fried.
God, you know, we've done that to people too. That's the electric chair.
Yeah, I know, but that
That's
was how he
horrible.
like showed people.
He's like, check this out.
I think maybe that was him trying to prove that the other kind of current was dangerous or something. But yeah, that was a thing. I'm not going to look it up though, because it literally upsets me on a visceral level, because elephants are amazing, beautiful, spiritual creatures. Like elephants. Okay. So a couple of fun things that I want to talk about with elephants in our language before we go to our commercial break. So if you notice, not only are they big in pop culture, they're big in our language. We talk about the elephant in the room. We talk about, oh damn, what was the other one? Fuck, there's another saying with elephants. And as soon as I said, oh, white elephant, where does that even come from? White elephant party.
White elephant comes from Asia.
Well, no, but I mean the saying how does white elephant party, like, because a white elephant party, have you ever heard that term?
Is it where everybody brings a gift and they like switch gifts or something? It just doesn't.
That's what we've done at Eagle.
Yeah, that is so strange, because it doesn't really go along with the meaning behind a white elephant at all.
Well, right, and that's why I wonder what it means for language, and I encourage you guys to look it up, because I'm going to later, and maybe I'll do a Morning Witch video about it, but I meant to do it before this episode and I forgot. So like we use them in our language, right? Which I find interesting, because I was just watching a video by an etymologist who was talking about how we have a lot of nautical phrasing in our language, with like everybody get on board, and you know, whatever. There's a whole fucking video about it. I shared it to my story, and I'm not going through all of it, but I just thought that was interesting with the whole elephant, right? So beyond that, we have the mythology that elephants are afraid of mice.
Yeah, and that is not
But
even
they are
motherfucking
not.
true. I looked that up
is.
specifically. It is not true. They
It is
said
not.
maybe an elephant would get startled because a small thing is running around.
But that goes for dogs
Everybody,
and anything
people.
else, like anything that's below its eyesight that might zip past it and startle it, you know.
Where
But
did that even
they
start?
really, because of people seeing an elephant get bothered by a mouse popping out of the hay they're eating, or you know,
So
whatever.
they're like, oh my god, he's scared of it.
Yeah.
LOL.
Exactly. That is exactly how that myth came
That
about.
is so sad.
But they really are afraid of ants, because ants go up trees. You know, I won't sit against a tree because of my experience with being covered with ants. But elephants, because sometimes they stand for a very long time, just like their bodies. That's why their legs are made the way they are, is so that their legs can withstand their full body weight just standing there, because sometimes they do that. And ants, you know, especially in Africa, will just come right up thinking so they're afraid of ants, and they're afraid of bees. Which, two things about that before we go to break, because I thought that would be a great way to go into break, because I don't know what else this goes with. So I'll just like, you know, bring it back on a light mode, and then we'll hear a message from our sponsor. They're afraid of bees. So, you know, elephants, one of the dangers to them, that even though they are protected everywhere they live now, right? But one of the dangers that still exists for them is when they get into farmland, right? Or something like that. And there's retaliation, because they they ruin somebody's livelihood, or they hurt people in the process,
Right.
or both. And so, of course, people are angry. And then even though they're not supposed to kill elephants, they still do, right? Because elephants are naturally afraid of bees. They have this project going in Africa right now where farmlands are being like, they're putting up like posts with like not cords, but like wires in like between the posts, right? So it's like a fence, and they're putting beehives on there. And so when an elephant walks into that structure, it shakes the beehive,
And the
the
bees come out. Oh,
and
that's
it scares
awful.
the elephants away.
That's so
Well,
sad.
It's not sad because it's protecting the elephants from
No, you're-
trampling, and
Mhm.
so it saves them with their natural fear.
Yeah,
They're
I mean,
naturally
it
afraid.
works, but
And so like it keeps them from getting killed.
Mhm.
It keeps people from getting killed.
exactly
You
keeps
know,
crops.
It
from
keeps
getting
crops
killed.
from getting killed in an area where it's hard to grow crops. So like it's
Mhm.
devastating if they lose crops.
Right.
And it keeps the elephants safe, and it helps them change their migration patterns
Mhm.
for the safety of the whole herd.
Mhm.
So like, and not just that, but now the bees are pollinating the crops.
Mhm.
So they're getting better yields.
Mhm.
So the people are eating better. So like it's a better solution all around. And they're using ecology to help like fix the world, because the elephants are just doing their thing. They're going through their native migration lands. They're eating food because that's what they do.
Mhm.
Except we as people have taken over those lands.
Mhm.
And it's causing a problem. But through just natural ecology, I mean, it may seem sad because bees do actually hurt elephants, even though they
Mhm.
seemingly have these really thick skins. They do. That's why they're afraid of bees and
Mhm.
ants. But like, it's helping them,
Mhm.
and that's a good thing, and it's saving their lives. So I just thought before going to break, we'd talk about like this really good thing, because we talked about mushrooms being used to help the bees,
Mhm.
and now bees are being used to help the human elephant relationship, and I just think that's really cool.
That is really cool.
So more about elephants when we come back. Fucking love elephants. Thank you so much for joining the show today. Today's show is brought to you by our sponsors, our very first sponsors, Calm Aura, and they have given us the Calm Aura Tree Devia tarot deck.
It's
Isn't it
actually,
gorgeous?
it is such a beautiful deck. I mean, didn't you say it's lined in gold?
It is gold lined, and the art, like the box is just the tip of the iceberg with this art.
5 of Cups. I love this artistry. I hope
Gorgeous.
they can see it all right. The artistry is perfect. It fits perfectly in your hands. And
Such
to
a good
me,
hand feel.
as a tarot reader, it's all about the feeling that
Yes,
the hands. This
absolutely.
is perfect size. Perfect size. The the thickness of the card is
It's
also
so good
perfect.
for shuffling. It's
Yes.
like, as a tarot reader, you will love these cards.
Yes.
So if you would like to get your hands on one of these gorgeous decks or any of the other wonderful metaphysical offerings at Calm Aura, you can get your very own Tree Devia tarot deck and more at calmaura.com/witches talking tarot. And that is CALMOURA.com/witches talking tarot. If you want to see how to spell our name, you can find out when you go hit that subscribe button after the show.
Well, and I think you forgot the best part.
I just
you
haven't
get
gotten there yet.
10% off,
Yes.
right? You get 10% off.
Your whole order, so grab more than just the cards. Yeah. And thanks for coming to Sit a Spell. So enjoy the rest of this episode. Again, brought to you by the Calm Aura Tree Devia tarot deck. So to get your 10% off your entire order at calmaura.com/witches talking tarot, use code tarot witches 10 when placing your order.
And you know what I love? It's gonna be
Fucking cool elephants are. Yeah, it's totally
Well,
gonna get that.
it's gonna get
Yeah,
that.
totally get that.
Oh my
Yeah,
god. Okay.
100%. 100%. Not like what I do is I just kind of delete those like 2 or 3 seconds like where it like during the time where we're just waiting to make sure, because it's always yes.
But and you know what I love? Elephants really are smart. And in
Fucking
spirituality, they're known for, specifically in Hindi and Buddhist spirituality, they're known for their wisdom and for perseverance and for loyalty and for strength. And another thing that I love is elephants are associated with water. with the element water and rain clouds and a rain god, the Hindu rain god. And what their bodies are gray, so they represent the clouds.
Okay.
And then their trunks represent the water. And I
That's
fucking
fucking
love
cool
that
as
because when
shit.
I see that, I imagine just an elephant blowing water into the air or onto their back.
Right.
And I love that they're associated with water.
That's
and they're
fucking
great
cool as
swimmers.
shit. Yeah. Well, and they started out as an aquatic animal before they became the largest land animal that we had. And like, you know, their trunk like served a purpose, like, and it still does for them to breathe underwater.
Yeah.
And like their heart and lung, or not lungs, their heart and ribs or something are made in a way that like supports their large frame so that they can still be aquatic animals.
And
you
they
know?
swim
And
like a son of
they
a bitch. I
fucking
love
do.
them in Tarzan. I don't like where the little like elephants like, I don't want to get in the water. What about bacteria? Like that is so cute because elephants really are smart. And another thing is they will not eat any like dirty, nasty area. They won't drink dirty water. So the fact that the little elephant's like, what about bacteria? That makes me laugh because
That is funny,
like I
'cause,
didn't
like,
realize
true
that.
to life.
Yes, exactly.
Well, and it's funny because like I did not know that in Asian culture they were associated with the sky and water, because in African culture and over here too, they represent earth and like motherhood and like matriarchy and fertility, like and they represent strength, like you said, from that standpoint of like that matriarchal, like there's a one lady that is in charge until she is too tired to do it,
right,
or she passes away. And then what I found really interesting, because I was not expecting this, it doesn't go to like her sister or anybody, it goes to her daughter, unless like
I knew that because of the wild thornberries. If I'm being
I
honest, I
did
don't know
not.
if you remember the wild thornberries.
I do. Oh, we love the wild
Yes,
thornberries.
there was
I
maybe
was
it was a
like, you know,
movie.
always multitasking.
The movie The Wild Thornberries is all about the migration of the elephants.
Yeah.
And so that was addressed. And I do love that.
Like I knew it was
like
always
writing.
like a matriarchy, but I didn't know it was specifically to the daughter. I figured it went to like the next eldest lady, you know?
I love it. First of all, I
do
love
love the
movie.
wild fucking thornberries.
I know these things.
I mostly remember about the little baby cub with the poacher.
Oh my god, fuck
That's
that
sad.
shit.
Wait,
Wait,
sad. It made
are
me
those
sad.
two
Are they
different movies?
I think they
because
are.
I'm like, I
That's
remember
the Rugrats
both movies.
crossover, I think.
No,
is that not the Rugrats crossover
the
where
Rugrats,
the baby
the
lion thingy happens? Or-
Rugrats Go Wild is when they're looking
Poacher.
for the cougar, and I know the poacher one. I know these things because I can talk to animals. So I think the elephant one is actually the second one, but the elephant one is.
We love the wild thornberries.
I know, I loved it, dude. I wish I could talk to animals. Are you kidding me? But what the fuck is Donnie saying?
Love
Like,
fucking Donnie.
He's not.
Love that man.
He's like
So good.
He's just like there, like they found
I'm
him.
not-
He's I know he's like a wild boy that
He
they just
is.
adopted.
They were
Even
the
the
perfect
chimp
family
is
for
like,
him.
what the fuck is he saying?
I literally forgot about the chimp until you said that. And he's like so like British and shit.
I know, and he's
proper.
like they adopted him, and now he has to wear clothes. Like he's very I have to be. But
and then there's Donnie.
and then there's
He
Donnie.
won't even put a shirt on.
Dude, that
He
kid.
drool on it. I love Donnie. I love Donnie. I'm not making fun of Donnie.
But the elephant
Anyway,
one was
yeah.
really good, and she like
It's
rode
like-
on their back, and they
Yeah,
went to a
I
certain
remember that.
place during the eclipse, which elephants actually do.
I won't lie. I grew up with Operation Dumbo Drop and the one with Bill Murray, and I loved those fucking elephant movies. Also Dumbo. I watched a lot of elephant movies. I
Yeah,
realized
no, fuck
growing up.
Dumbo. I'm sorry.
I also grew up
Fuck
with a
that
lot of
one.
movies that are like, hey, kid, you can do this thing with this large animal, like Free Willy. There was a movie with a girl and an orangutan. Like there were a lot of movies where it was like, yeah,
Do you
you can
remember
be with a wild animal and take care of it and it'll love you.
what is that movie? It is Mighty Joe Young.
I loved Mighty Joe Young.
I feel
I
like
did.
that's sad.
I
I feel
loved
like I remember watching it as a kid and they
It was-
released him. And I was like, why the fuck did they do that? And I'm like bawling
Congo.
my eyes out. I'm like, why did they let him go? My mom's like, because he belongs there.
Amy, good girl. Amy, go with good gorillas.
Like, I was, yeah, dude, no.
I could not believe that they let Amy go at the end of Congo. Have you ever seen Congo?
No.
There are not as many
keep
elephants
telling
as
me to
I
see
would
that
love.
one.
It's
So
fun. I mean,
are
it's
there
like
are
a
there
scary
elephants
movie.
in the Congo?
In the actual Congo? I don't know. Like elephants exist in all sorts of different terrain. Like because there's the forest elephants and then there are also savanna elephants. And like, you know, elephants sometimes they cause a problem because I was talking earlier about how they're a keystone species, right? Like other things live off their poop, they spread whatever, but also because like they knock down trees. So in like some of the areas that are forested, they fuck up the forestation.
Well, and they'll
and
eat
also they
people's
pack
crops,
earth.
like you said, yeah.
Well, and they'll eat people's crops, but like they pack earth. And when they're in areas, because we've changed their migration and whatever, they pack earth in areas that it's like not typically usually packed in. And it's actually not good for the earth. But otherwise, you know, all the things that they do is good for the earth.
My toxic trait is thinking I'd see a wild elephant and it would just know.
Same. Like if it's
That,
a woman,
like,
it knows I love her.
It knows like that we share this connection and it will not attack me. That being said, I have seen videos of wild elephants chasing the fuck out of some cars on a safari.
Yeah, I mean, males go through musith, right? And that's when they get like aggressive and like they kind of like shake and they kind of look like elephant crackheads, you know? And what I found really interesting, because I was saying to you, like, how beautiful it is that elephants seem to just love their own kind, right? Not just within their own family group, but they love their own kind. Like we were talking about how they visit the bones of their dead loved ones, but they also visit the bones of any dead elephant, even if it wasn't part of their clan or whatever, right? And it's because they truly love their own kind. So like if two equals, or if somebody who's lesser than, they come upon each other and they're both in musith, the male that's like kind of lesser, he will just kind of back off. He'll pretend he's not in musith so that the guy in musith that's bigger won't like attack and there won't be a fight. He's just like, you're better than me. It's cool. I accept that you're better than me. Like I truly feel, even though it's dangerous to us humans, like from the elephant perspective, it's kind of like the opposite of toxic masculinity. They're kind of like, I mean, I just like, to me, it was just very interesting that like if a big male that's on musith and a lesser male on musith come together, the lesser one, he's just going to pretend he's not in musith. Like, you go ahead, you fuck all these bitches. Also, they have S-shaped penises, which I didn't need to know, but now you know too. Yeah, and it moves on its own. There's no thrusting involved. They just mount and
they can
also. So here's weird,
like
but it goes really weird with it goes really in a weird way with the conversation we were having. The elder female elephants, when an elder male approaches a female and it's her first time, the other females will kind of go there and be like a support system. Like, yeah, it's okay. You're going to get fucked. But like they just mount and then the dick does it all.
Wow.
Like it's crazy.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. It's not, I imagine it'd be really hard to thrust with their legs. Like, but two things. One, which is kind of funny. Have you ever seen a video of an elephant giving birth? And if so, that
it's
poor
this big like
child
that
is just
out,
flopped on the ground, like straight up. It's like,
I mean, have you seen a giraffe giving birth?
Yeah, I was gonna say
like
it's the same thing with the giraffe. Like they are literally like so comfortable, and then just wind knocked the fuck out of them onto the ground. God damn, no squatting or sitting or laying down. At least horses lay down. You know, they just.
I was picturing horses and going, well, they have it lucky.
Yeah, they lay down. They just stand up and it's out. But another kind of crazy phenomenon happened last year, I believe. An elephant in Thailand stomped a woman to death. And then this bitch showed up at the funeral and tried to stomp her corpse in the casket.
Wait, what? The elephant showed up to the ladies? Because they have amazing
What
memories.
did she do to him?
Because they will remember when a human mistreats them. And they'll be shitty to that whole village.
That's
sometimes.
Exactly what I was thinking when I read that story. I
like,
was like, they remember. She had to have
remember.
done something to him.
They have long memories, like super long memories. And like, not only do they have long memories, they actually have like, they have literal, like this goes so well following our last week episodes because like they have tradition. They have oral tradition that they teach the next generation.
Check out our spirituality and animals episode.
Yeah.
But like,
well, also just last week where we talk about traditions and how it's passed down, like elephants hold that. They hold tradition and they pass it down to the younger generations. And also out of nowhere, I learned they have names for each other. Like they make all the different kinds of noises, right? But they make specific guttural noises that that are like, it's called rumblings, but in the rumblings it's not always addressing an individual, but they have like specific ways that they address individual elephants. And like scientists like studied it by like playing back recordings from over like a multitude of years and watching how like the elephants would run to the speaker when it was a certain, like obviously that was their, you know, they were being called in that message. And it was like they go to the matriarch much faster than they go to like just anybody else in the herd. Well, which I thought was super interesting. But also it makes sense because they have long lives like humans do. They live in these family groups when they need to identify each other.
I would
it's not like they're two pastors in, you know.
That does make a lot of sense. You know, and like what the fuck was I gonna say?
Elephants are crazy cooler than I thought.
They're not necessarily super aggressive either. So the fact that that elephant killed that lady and then came back for her, like she
did something.
She had to have done something.
She didn't like that bitch's smell.
And they're not super aggressive. I mean, I suppose if you find a mother and a baby, you're probably gonna get chased, or a really wild male, like you said.
Yeah.
You know, but as for just deciding, I'm gonna fucking just kill you for no reason. Yeah, it's not typical behavior for elephants.
They're just, I think of them as gentle giants. Maybe I'm wrong.
Me, like I literally
I've loved elephants since I was a very, very small child. No, I did not watch Babar, but again, Sharon, Lois, and Bram loved the fucking elephant show. They were like from my childhood on Nickelodeon, but like fucking there's some cool ass shit about elephants that's like crazy cool that somehow makes me like love how it goes along. Like the last animal episode we did was bees, right? So in my research about elephants, I learned that, you know, because elephants, they're like so fucking big, right? Right. They have such large bodies. Like they don't really sweat except for like these places between their toes, which is like
why they roll in the mud.
Well, I mean, yes, that is why they roll in the mud, but also like they're gigantic. When you think that like they can sweat more than just between their toes, but like also those little hairs help give off heat. But like and their skulls their skulls are so heavy in order for their body, or their skulls are so big in order for their body to hold them. The skull is made up of basically little honeycomb shaped pieces of skull that go together. Like the skull, it's like honeycombs inside. So it's like all these holes. So even though it's like this gigantic fucking skull, it's not too heavy for their neck.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. And another interesting thing, because you mentioned them putting the water on themselves and they have to roll in the mud. They have to stay hydrated because they have very sensitive skin, even though it seems to us like very rough, right? It's incredibly sensitive, apparently. But, and I personally think this is a holdover from them being aquatic animals, but they don't shed their skin flakes like the rest of us, like skin havers do. That what looks to us like really rough skin is actually layer upon layer built up of like different of as their skin, like instead of flaking off, it just becomes a new layer of skin underneath. So like when they're pouring the water on themselves, their old skin holds that shit like a sponge over their new skin. Like that's some crazy shit. And I think that's another reason why, like, if you've ever seen elephants associated with like sustainment or adaptability, I think that's like, it's because of these crazy little things that make them what they are. You know what I mean? Because like, you know, we talk about the associations in magic, and fertility and maternal things make sense with associations for elephants. Water makes sense for association with elephants, not just the movie Water for Elephants. Um, I like that movie, kind of. I mean, it's not the worst movie. It's not the best. It's cool. I like that movie. Anyway, I thought it'd be funny to mention it then. Like them being associated with air, them being associated with strength, them being associated with earth. Like all these things make sense, but like associating elephants with adaptability and sustainment, I think that makes a lot of sense too, like from a magical perspective. So like if you're trying to like work with elephants in your craft in any way, or elephant iconography, I really think that like if you're looking for something that's like strength and adaptability, like the elephant's
That's where,
a good place to
you know, Ganesha comes in, and because they are associated with adaptability and strength, they are literally pushing through obstacles, picking up and removing obstacles as they go. That's where
Yes.
that comes from.
Yeah, no, totally. Like I think that would be a great magical use for like working with elephants. Because I mean, yeah, we do these, like I know I get all into the science of the animal when we do these animal episodes, but that's because like the science of the animal goes into like where the whole magical properties can be found, you know, for me, from my perspective. So I'm just like, there is still like that magical working with the animal, you know what I mean? I don't know. They are a very spiritual animal. You can find elephants in a lot of different mythologies. I didn't necessarily look into anything new because I'm, you know, like African and Asian is what I'm like most familiar with. But
well, that's where they're mostly located,
exactly
in Africa and Asia, which
right.
makes sense that for the better part of spirituality, it's in Thailand and India and Africa, and where these animals are, you know, naturally located.
Well, and I mean, like you had mentioned, not only are they naturally located there, they're used like for war, right?
Yeah, they're actually used for a lot of shitty things. So elephants have been used.
I'm not laughing about them being used for shitty things.
No. Elephants have been used in Thailand. Again, we've got that removed obstacles, right? So that's what they be doing. They were used for logging, which is now illegal. They're used in the tourist and entertainment industry, which a lot of people are trying to get to become illegal because, I mean, these elephants are chained. They're in chains. I want to ride an elephant, a wild elephant, in the wild because it knows in its heart we're connected. I don't want to ride an elephant fucking on a chain forced to walk forward. That's not a magical experience for me.
No, absolutely. And beyond that, like most of these elephants, we don't have captive breed most elephants. We haven't domesticated them.
They're taken from the wild.
And they live in family groups for like, they live up to 80 years. So like they're taken from these family groups where they would be with their siblings and cousins and mother and, you know, like, you know, every member of their group for like generations that lives together, they're stolen from.
They
just
are.
For our entertainment.
And you know, Thailand's really bad. India is not that much better in the sense that, you know, they take them, they capture them, and they keep them in their temples, in chains, so they don't run away. And it's very sad.
Yeah, I think in Africa they use them for manual labor for the most part. When like
I feel so conflicted because as we're talking, I'm like, well, didn't people use a Clydesdale horse for the same thing? They did. And that's what the Clydesdale was used for, is like logging and pulling, things like that. It's different when it's an elephant. But Clydesdales weren't put in chains and poked and well, I mean, unless you count them hooked up to a fucking leg. But I feel like they're different situations. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think it's any different
You
because the
don't?
Clydesdale had to be broken in the first place.
Mhm.
Broken means broken for a reason, right? So even though elephants have to be poked and prodded the whole time because we can't fucking domesticate them,
Mhm.
we can't break them because they're so powerful. They're the largest land animal.
It's like that movie
Fucking-
Spirit.
Yeah, exactly. Like the
Where the-
horses get broken, and that's why you don't have to poke and prod them every time. But also, I rode horses when I was a kid. I took lessons when I was like 10, 11 years old. Before I got thrown from a horse for the second time and fucked my back up, and my parents.
But
were like,
my family
"Girl."
laughed at me. I think I told you that story,
My
right?
family wasn't there when I got broken, when I got thrown. But when it happened, like the second time is when I hurt my back, is when my parents were like, "We're not going to pay for horseback riding lessons anymore. It seems pretty dangerous." And I was like, "No, when I'm on Big John, it's fine. I just wasn't on Big John." Though.
I'm only laughing because Big John is stereotypical as you say.
Big John was like, look, the man. So the whole story is like, so there were two. Like Cindy was the first horse that threw me.
Mm-hmm.
And she was this little nag. Fuck Cindy. That bitch would bite you when you put your foot in the
God.
stirrups. She would you had to sit, you had to keep your feet tucked way the fuck back because if she could get your ankle, she'd just fucking bite it. Cindy was a bitch. Even after I gave her sugar cubes and apples and shit. Fuck Cindy. That bitch bit me. She threw me. Fuck Cindy. She was a little nag. They decided they'd put me on Big John, even though I'm small, and Big John was like 18 and a half hands high, and he was a beautiful chestnut, and I loved Big John. And I got on Big John, and we got along real fucking well. Big John and I were like buddies, and I rode Big John, and he was so good for me, except for the one time that we went out into the open field where they got to play with their friends, and my instructor wasn't very good at being an instructor. So she didn't say anything like, "Hey, now hold real tight to your reins because this is where they play with their friends. So they're not used to having to do what you tell them out here." And Big John took off in a motherfucking gallop, and I just held on for dear life. But anyway,
I love how our experiences are so different because growing up we had horses, or my grandmother had horses, and we did not ride with saddles.
Well,
my
I was
grandmother
bareback on this one.
Oh, you were?
Yes.
My grandfather absolutely refused to buy a saddle for the horse because growing up his childhood best friend was drugged by a horse.
Fair enough.
And
I get that.
So he refused to let any of the grandkids or his kids ride with the saddle.
I get that.
And so I remember being on the horse, and I think I was like 6. And my mom's horse got caught in a fence because she was trying to jump it. So my cousin who I was riding with got off and was like, "I'll be right back." This fucking horse turned its head to scratch an itch and flung me the fuck off. So it wasn't intentional or anything. It just moved and I just slid off.
Yeah.
And they laughed at me. They laughed. They thought it was so funny. And then the other horse we had, would stick its head into the bathroom window. If you were going to the bathroom and it knew someone was in there. Exactly. And it knew someone was in there, it would stick its head in there. Or you'd randomly look in the bathroom and there'd be a horse head in the bathroom because he wanted fed or something.
Well, I don't know. I just know that Big John did whatever for me, and I never even used my fucking crop on him. And his owner was a grown man in his 30s who used the fucking, oh my God, I hate them. I never used them. The thing that use spurs on him to get him to do anything for him. And so it's partly how you treat the animal, I think, but also just that, horses sometimes have to be prodded, was my point. Elephants have to be prodded all the time, and sometimes horses have to be prodded, but usually they get broken and they don't have to be prodded like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That was to end that conversation. Sorry to drag it out. We started talking about horses.
But no, because horses are used just as elephants are used. So I get what you're saying.
Labor. Yeah, because I mean, yeah, it's different with a Clydesdale because you probably aren't having to constantly, but when you're breaking them, they're not born broken, are they? I don't think we've domesticated horses.
I think you have to break a horse to ride.
Yeah.
You have to break a horse to not be wild in the sense of A horse will legit kick the fuck out of you.
Yeah, I know.
Like a horse with, like a baby horse, a little one will headbutt the fuck out of you. Like they can be very aggressive.
I'm sorry, that's just cute. I didn't mean to.
Oh
laugh
no,
about their
it's-
aggression.
but like
I'm just picturing a baby horse like, but
it's
that's not
not-
soft.
it's not
strength.
done like it was done during spirit time anymore, where
Right.
you tie it to a fucking pole and no food or water for
Oh.
3 days. Dude, fuck that.
That is terrible.
I know,
I
that was
can't
horrible.
either.
But the only experience that I have with breaking a horse is my mom broke a horse. She took it out into the water because that's how my grandpa told her to do it, and then they freak the fuck out in the water because they're like, oh my god, what the fuck, and then they have to trust you to get out of the water. So like it's
wow.
it's better
I guess
than
that's
whipping
not-
the
yeah,
fuck
it's just
out of it.
manipulation.
Yeah.
It's not as bad. Yeah.
But that's the only don't you dare. I put those
Girl.
up there for you to keep them from you. She's
The
like,
puppies are
are
on
those
patrol.
frogs?
Don't you dare chew on.
Well,
those
is there
frogs.
anything else you want to say about elephants?
I mean, I love elephants and they're fucking awesome. And even if you don't,
Oh my
use them in
fucking
your
god!
practice,
Are you okay? Oh my god!
even if you don't use them in your practice, you could definitely support them and their life through any of the shit. You know, I don't know if I believe in any nonprofits anymore, but if you can find a decent nonprofit that actually gives your money to the cause, you know, maybe like skip all the World Wildlife Fund.orgs and go directly to the source and just donate to some conservation project in Asia or Africa. And you know, I think you'll be doing your part if you want to help the elephants out. That's all I can think of to say, because I love elephants. I could probably talk about them fuckers all the time because they're so cute and there's so many different things about them. But I really think that, like, I love the incorporation of seeing them as being used for sustainable adaptability in magic. I really do, because like learning so much more about them, like they're more interesting than I originally knew, because like, you know, we did the animals and spirituality episode, which talks about how they seemingly worship the moon, or at least are very aware of its cycles, you know. So like they're spiritual in a lot of ways, and they can be used in your magic in a lot of ways. Well, don't use the animals, use the essence of the animals. Because elephants should be free to live with their herds.
Yes. And if you want to support us, you can find us at patreon.com/which-is-talking-tarot. Hey, Melissa.
Hey, Death by DVD.
Hey, Pam.
Hey, Victoria. Happy birthday, Mom. We're recording on your birthday. Sorry, it's her birthday today. So if she hears this one, she'll get a kick out of it.
You can find us on Threads, Instagram, and Facebook at which-is-talking-tarot.
And you can find us on the X at Classiest Witches, because we are the classiest witches, you know. So thanks for coming to sit with us for a spell. That was fun. I enjoyed that.
I'm Maddie,
I'm Amber.
and we're Witches Talking Tarot.
We are the weird optimistic.
Like a song, like a Santa's snubble. Flip the switch and let the cauldron bubble. Sam.
Wow.